Hi, this is Ed. Welcome to The Outer Light. Well, before I go on, I'd like to thank my patrons for your continued support of my channel and really just helping it to keep on running. So let's have a look at this right here. Syrian rebels alarmed by reports. Covert CIA aid will end. What is all this about? Well, it's not just packages of rice and flour or whatever. It works out, if you look into this, and this is Julian Assange's tweet from the other day. We'll just go to the tweet in question that references what's being talked about today anyway. But the other day, Julian Assange just said, "At long last, we have the first steps to peace in Syria. If real Donald Trump can avoid attacking Iran, he might have a Nobel Prize." Okay, so what he's talking about is Donald Trump, if you don't know, ended the covert funding, or at least being reported as ended the covert funding of the anti-assad rebels in Syria. Something that's torn apart the entire country, left a generational dysmorphia in regards to the education systems, the social, the cultural systems. All of that has been absolutely destroyed. Okay, look at Syria in the 1950s. Women could walk around, or 1960s, without burqas on. They could wear swimsuits. All the war leads to is more and more harsher ideologies. So what rises out of all this? Well, ISIS. ISIS rises out, it comes in there, it starts selling its stuff, and ISIS is the Clinton email, which I've reported on at length, shows that was funded by Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Hillary Clinton knew, took billions of dollars from them probably. I know it was millions. I'm not sure the exact figure, we forget because it's such a money tunnel of infinite cash running through it. So it's really hard to keep track of the deviations there. But the point is that this is very interesting because Julian Assange tweeted this. So you can see the Julian Assange tweet down here. Financial Times buries the lead. CIA not only armed Syrian insurgents, it paid their salaries. So here you have the revelation that in fact the Syrian soldiers were in fact paid by the CIA. Okay, so they weren't just being handed guns, ammunition and things like that. They actually had a steady salary that was being paid to fight against Assad's forces. I'm not saying I'm surprised, okay, but you have to wonder to yourself, what is all this about? So all of this, in my opinion, is about, and this is my speculation at the moment, of course I changed my opinion based on whatever information I seen there. I'm not like a specialist or anything. I'm just a speculator, but my speculations are at the moment is that it's about the Anglo-Saxon American pipeline. What they wanted to do is destabilize the country, topple the government, reiterate or create a new government that was palatable to the CIA's philosophy. I would say Western ideals, but that's not true. Okay, that is not what happens. Look at the governments that have been toppled by the CIA. They don't care about having governments that are pro-democracy or pro-Western values or progressive values, anything like that. What they care about is that they're palatable to the interests of the CIA. That's very different, okay? That means they can install someone in there that's like, just completely, icing up the country, so to speak, ISIS style. Here's the leader, that's palatable to the CIA. Why is that? Because, they believe in restructuring, they believe in having the Anglo-Saxon American pipeline through there. They have a certain war ethic, which they're corrupt enough so that they can be managed. You need people that are corrupt, read the book, The Economic Hitman. So it's all about having a palatable government, in my opinion, my speculation, that's palatable to the interests of the CIA, which aren't the Western interests. Okay, the real interest would be peace, trade, friendship, getting on with people, going on vacation there, similar respect for law systems and freedom of speech, which these can be lobbied through conventional mechanisms like government to government, or just social influence, cultural influence by the people, movies, television. Remember the 1950s, women could walk around with not burqas, without burqas and in swimsuits in Syria. Syria had very fine universities only 20 years ago. Had scholars, professors, things like that. This is all gone. When I should say 20 years ago, I mean 10 years ago. 5 years ago. Even probably 3 years ago, although there would have been, it would have been difficult to operate. So, had they world scholars on antiquity, things within the region, museums, school systems, infrastructure. Now they have nothing. It's all been just obliterated because of the CIA funding the anti-assad rebels, i.e. mercenaries, in order to fight in the region. Mercenaries with beards and camouflage, pretty much, at least in my speculation. So here we have one rebel commander. This is a blown up version of what you see down here. It's one rebel commander who has asked not to be named, said US support had been waning for months, but noted that the rebels had been given their salaries as normal last month. Still, he believed, if we just come down to here. So here we are. So here it is. One rebel commander who asked not to be named said US support had been waning for months. I guess this is photograph. Yeah, it's a photograph from a newspaper. US support had been waning for months, but noted that the rebels had been given their salaries as normal last month. Still, he believed the decision was final. The CIA's role is done, the rebel commander said. So, Julian Assange talking about how they buried the lead in the story there, because they did. Well, I don't know. I don't know the newspaper business, but Julian Assange says they did. Syrian rebels alarmed by reports covert CIA aid will end. So they are alarmed there. But the great headline, as Julian Assange points out, would have been CIA paid Syrian rebels, or CIA gave Syrian rebels, salaries in order to fight Assad. Well, they're mercenaries. They're mercenaries, really, aren't they? In a country where, now, I guess in a war zone like that, where the currency's worth nothing, or very little, I guess you get paid like in a loaf of bread or something. So when you get approached by the CIA, if you know how to fire a weapon or whatever, and they say, I don't know, I'll give you a couple $100 a day, people do it just for the money. Why not? You do it for the money, then you sit in the classroom and they indoctrinate you to fill you full of the reason why. So it is what it is. I'm not saying Assad is a real good person. Of course I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that what's better, a country like this or a country that's functioning, has universities and school systems and things like that? Well, it's not that. Okay? It's not that. That's just a destruction. So, Julian Assange said when the funding ended, at long last we have first serious steps towards peace in Syria. Well, let's hope so. Wouldn't put it past the old, the agencies there to, I don't know, drive in a chlorine bomb or something, let it off, say Assad bombed, I don't know, a couple orphanages worth of children, and then, things like that. Oh, let's roll again. We've got to start the CIA covert funding once again. You got to wonder, what is the CIA's even interest in the Middle East? If you even think about it just from, a US perspective, what are their interests there? What, the Anglo-Saxon American pipeline? The United States is one of the main exporters of oil now. It's turned into an exporter. So it's other interests, whatever they are, but it seems to be the Anglo-Saxon American pipeline. I guess the main thing, if you go back to Wesley Clark, and everyone's seen the Wesley Clark video now, but, where he said 5 countries in X amount of years. Well, you've achieved that. Libya, Syria, Iraq, really only got Iran to go. So, not sure what that's supposed to accomplish, but I guess in some kind of asymmetric kind of warfare, they want to just keep on toppling countries and watch them fall like dominoes. And eventually, Saudi Arabia and Qatar, they'd have to be naive to think they aren't left. Because, once you start taking out everyone, I mean, it's only, the spotlight starts to kind of like aim in on you, right? You can't sit on all of that oil. Come on, You think that, it bought you time, the oil did, but sooner or later, if people have the assets to take the oil, they're not going to plot to do that for real, Okay, so in the meantime, go and do your own research, decide for yourselves. I'll put a link to this article. Well, this article actually has a paywall around it. On some cases, on the Firefox browser, for some reason, I got a paywall. On a Google browser, I didn't get a paywall, which was strange. So what I'll do is I'll just put a link to this Julian Assange tweet here, and I guess if you can't go through to the site because of I'm not sure why, then at least you've got this here. You can tweet or have a read or whatever. In the meantime, this is Ed from the Outer Light. Stay safe, and I'll see you all later.